meeting to order.
I'm just on time, sir.
Just on time. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. There is a quorum present. At this time, I'm going to ask our county engineer, Mr. Darren Capps, to give the invocation.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings you've given us. Just be with us today in this meeting. Just be with the commissioners as they make decisions that affect the county. We'd like to pray for all the people fighting overseas. Just be with them and their families, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting this morning. We thank you for your support in county government. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt the official agenda.
I make a motion we adopt the official agenda.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Come on in, Mr. Turman.
Glad to be here.
Before we go on with any other thing on the official agenda, I would ask Mr. Turman to give us a update report. Do you have a great-grandchild?
To have a what?
Great.
Yes, I do. Born last night.
So, congratulations. I was worried last night at the ball game in Mobile. I didn't know whether Troy was gonna make it through or not.
He had a lot on his mind, let's put it
Yes,
like
sir,
that.
he did. Yes, sir, he
But
did.
everything come out well, except they lost.
I know, I was there. I had to bear through it.
I hated that.
But they did a good effort and
Yeah.
commend them for that. At this time, we'll hear from our public officials. Mr. Anderson, no comments at this time. At this time, we'd like to ask Mr. Michael D. Brown, the Executive Director of the American Red Cross, to address us, please.
Thanks, everybody. I'm Mike Brown. I'm the Executive Director of the South Alabama Chapter of the Red Cross, and I've been here about 8 months now. And what I'd like to do today, first of all, is to thank you for your support of the Red Cross. Thank you for the office you provide us and the partnership you provide us. If it weren't for partners like you, we would not be able to provide our services. So thank you very much. I'd like to talk today, I'll be brief. I wanted to talk a bit about the recent transition that we've had in the Red Cross, where the Red Cross stands today in Covington County, and then our vision for the future moving forward with the Red Cross here in Covington County. The Red Cross did have a transition, and we eliminated some paid positions in different areas of our chapter, and the reason we did that was because, well, there were several reasons. We realized that we had paid executives doing what volunteers were designed to do. That's the way the Red Cross is designed, to be a volunteer-run organization. So we're aggressively recruiting volunteers here in the area. Kevin Kennedy's here today. He's our all-star in the area right now, and our priority is to get him some help. But I'm going to talk about what Kevin's been able to do since then. But some of the good things that came out of the transition were the Red Cross has increased direct financial support to our clients by 10% across the board. So anytime anybody's house burns down, flood, tornado, whatever it is, they get 10% more direct financial assistance from the Red Cross. And we also have stepped up our Service to the Armed Forces program. That is now a standalone program. It used to be part of emergency services, but we made it a standalone program and actually have hired an exec to work this area for Service to the Armed Forces to really ramp that program up. And we're excited about that, and we'll be getting you some statistics. I want to, maybe through Karen, I can get some statistics how we ramped up that program of servicing our active service and veterans. Now, currently, we have we've got Kevin Kennedy's our board chair here, but he's also really the head of our disaster action team group. And I'll give you an example. We worked 22 fires in Covington County in fiscal 14, and already this year Kevin alone has done 17 fires. So we're on pace to really just kill our statistics on home fire responses, which is what, my goal is to have 100% response to any time anybody's house burns down in this area. I want the Red Cross there to help them out. We've got about 20 volunteers in the area right now. We've increased that greatly. A lot of them work on what we call Project Share. Project Share is a grant to help folks with their cooling bill in the hottest month of the year and their heating bill in the coldest month of the year. And we've got volunteers working those funds to get the funds to folks when they need that help here. And Kevin actually has been instrumental in that as well, recruiting some volunteers for that. We've had Janice Castleberry has stepped up to be our blood drive chairperson. She's increasing the number of blood drives in the area. And we currently have the Red Cross van located here. And we had a storage space in the area that had a lot of stuff in it, and a lot of it was outdated. And we took all that stuff, got rid of the outdated stuff, replaced it with new materials like cots and heater meals and blankets and all those things that go into a Red Cross shelter. And we put it in a Red Cross shelter trailer, which is advantageous for a couple of reasons. For one thing, nothing's expired. It's all ready to go. We can set up a shelter for 100 when we need to. And in the old space, obviously, the stuff was just sitting there. Now it's in a trailer. We can take that to any of our shelter partners, set up a shelter where it's needed if something happens like a tornado or a hurricane rolling in. Where I'd like to see us going is I want to have at least 3 disaster action teams. These are trained volunteers that are generalists that respond mainly to house and apartment fires, but also they're the first responders when anything big like a tornado happens. Kevin actually worked a tornado as well this year. We're going to have a community volunteer leader. Kevin's really playing that role now, but we want to find somebody. We're going to find Kevin a lot of help. That's really, again, that's our priority. But our community volunteer leaders are a volunteer that actually runs the Red Cross in the area. And I plan to get them a cell phone and hopefully a laptop. And we've already got community volunteer leaders in several counties since the transition, which happened late last calendar year. So we've had a lot of success. We've got community volunteer leaders in Washington County and Monroe County. We've got a good prospect in Clark County, Butler, Escambia, Mobile, and Baldwin. So we're on the way to getting that community volunteer leader. And in closing, I would just like to say that when the transition happened, it changed my role. Originally, I was the guy that was going to be in Mobile. I was going to be raising money. I was going to be working maybe in Baldwin County, Mobile County. That's really about it. Well, now I'm all over. My fundraising responsibilities have gone down, and my volunteer recruitment and training responsibilities have gone up. So I'm going to be over here a lot. We're going to be recruiting leadership volunteers and building up a really strong Red Cross structure here in Covington County. So I would ask you to just think about volunteer opportunities, and that includes corporate partners where you can go in and have employee engagement opportunities. A lot of corporations like to have their employees volunteer, things like that. So again, my main reason here is to say thank you for your support currently and to ask you to help us out with some of that volunteer recruitment in the future. Are there any questions? I'll be getting you some information in print through Karen via email. Okay. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate
Thank you
your
for what
job,
you do.
Bill.
Thank you for
Thank you
your
for your
comments.
hard work.
Thank you. We have no items of old business. We'll move into new business. At this time, consider the approval of the minutes of the January the 7th, 2015 regular meeting.
I move that we approve those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of January the 7th, 2015. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Next on the item is consider approval of payroll and accounts payable for December 2014 and 2015. As you can see there that we paid out $1.7 million in January, 1.6 in December. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion we approve these payroll accounts.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve payroll and accounts payable for December 2014 and January 2015. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. At this time, we'll take up board appointments. We have 2 positions up for appointment on the Covington County Industrial Development Authority. Mr. Alan Miller has asked to be reappointed. Mr. Jimmy Cox has asked not to be reappointed, and we have no other applicants, so, and then we have Mr. Ralph Rutherford on the Covington County Water Authority, asking to be reappointed. We have no other applicants. Do I have a motion that Mr. Miller be appointed to the Covington County Industrial Development Authority and Mr. Ralph Rutherford reappointed to the Covington County Water Authority?
I make that motion that we do that, and Mr. Cox, we leave that to the next meeting.
I'll
Make that
second.
in the form of a
I'll
motion.
second that. You already heard.
I have the motion and the second to appoint these two. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. Just as a word to the commission member, if you have someone you think would be interested in on the Industrial Development Authority, please get that name to Ms. Sowell so she can mail the appropriate form to them for them to make the application according to our procedures. At this time, we will consider a proclamation for Childhood Cancer Awareness Week, which is March 1st through the 7th of this year. As you know, we have quite a bit of childhood cancer in this county, and we have some very good charitable organizations that are working to alleviate that situation. You have a resolution in front of you to this effect, and what's the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution, childhood
I'll second.
awareness.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously.
I would, while we're out there, I would like to, say something on behalf of the family here that Meg and Kelly, the prayers go out for them and what they're going through. I think we're, really, they're in trying times right now, so have them in your hearts and prayers.
Any other comments? Okay, at this time, we'll consider a request for $500 donation to the Lucille Pierce Family Literacy Center, which is located in Opp. This is something we have been doing for a number of years. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I make a motion to donate it, Chairman, Mr. Lucille
With
Pierce.
the provision it come out of the contingent.
Contingent fund, correct.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second on this donation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. The next request is for a sponsorship for the Covington County IRT pistol competition for $50. I'm really not familiar with the IRT. Mr. Barton, I expect you all, know 100%.
Well, I know some. It's an incident response team in the event that they have a hostage situation or pretty volatile situation that they might need a TAC team, and that's basically what they are. And they've come from all over the county to participate in this, and they well needed and do a good job. And they put this competition on at the Wilbur Williams Training Facility and have people from north part of Florida and overstate Alabama come and compete for prizes and trophies to be Top Gun or whatever in their thing. And they have several volunteers and people in the community have been very supportive of this. I talked to Mr. Northey, and if it pleases the commission, Mr. Northey and I said we just pay this $50 ourselves to keep from taking it out of the county money.
If that's pleasing,
Well, since we got you on public record to that effect, I think we'll take that, what was Mr. Elmore.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So there'll be, if there's no motion,
okay. Is that tax deductible? Is it tax deductible? Okay,
so
I'll do it.
with those comments, unless a commission wants to make a motion, we'll go on to the next item of business. This next item is something we do annually to levy taxes, and Ms. Sowell, you want to elaborate on this?
This is just something that, like he's had spoken about, that it has to be done annually to, be able to collect the taxes from our citizens. But it is just a requirement that's always, to be done at the first meeting in our February meetings.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Well, it's just more or less a formality, and I make a motion, we do it, you know.
That we levy the
We
tax?
levy the tax.
Second, Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, do the annual tax levy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. This next item has to do with, our computer systems. At the workshop, Mr. Donaldson, informed us that our backup system was probably going to be at full capacity by April. And we needed to increase that capacity, and, we need a motion on that to, do that upgrade. And also FBI sent us down a requirement for us to be in compliance at the jail on 6 computers, that we've got to do that. So, do I have a motion that we expend those funds for those 2 items?
I do think it needs to be brought up that Judge Bowden has agreed to pay for the backup from his discretionary funds. So that would be something that would be reimbursed to the county from his office out of his graciousness.
So we would not have to have a motion on, we have the motion to purchase it, but that's the funding part.
He's going to fund it, yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome, I'm glad to do it.
Do I
Thank you.
have a motion that we, purchase these two?
I so move, Chairman, with purchase.
And to have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to purchase this backup system and also the 6 computers to be FBI compliant in the jail. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carried unanimously. At this time, we will consider financing the two of the 3 vehicles we purchased in this budget year. In the past, we have financed with Bancorp South and out of Mississippi. Southern Independent Bank has expressed an interest in providing that financing at a comparable cost. You can look at that. I personally favor doing business within the county if all possible. And it's comparable rates, and, it would not be, if you go with Bancorp, Ms. Howard, correct me if I'm not correct, this would be actually a loan as such based on those vehicles, and the title would have to be sent to them.
That is correct.
Southern Independent would do it under our general obligations, and the titles would stay here with us.
Right, but all the bond issues would have to be notified and have those included for our general obligation debt, so it would be a little bit more involved in reporting that.
Where's the quote for Southern Independent?
I called, and it was like 2.4, I believe that's what I think that's
Do you
what
have it, Ms. Allen?
I do not have it. It was the quote that, I believe you said it was 2.
quote that they gave. And the thing with Southern Independent Bank, you don't have to, if you borrowed the money today, through Bancorp, the interest starts accruing now. We could wait later on in the end of the year and borrow the money if we needed to. If we didn't need to, we wouldn't have to borrow it. And that's the advantage of it.
Just be kinda like an open account.
Right.
Correct me?
And would not be exercised unless it was needed, from revenues.
You're talking about if you went with Bancorp.
No, with Southern.
Southern Independent.
Yes. Mr. Alderman.
Well, is this something that we would need to do today, and could we wait and get a quote from them? So
Can we table this?
Yes, if you would
Yes.
like to table it.
Let's
tonight.
table
let's
and
get
bring
a
it all
quote
back.
from-
Can we get a little more information on it?
Get a
So-
little more clear.
Sheriff, you got any,
He doesn't care, he's got to be here.
you don't have, you don't want to say so on that?
Well, I would make a motion that we table this till the next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion second, that we table this, item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried, unanimously. This next item, Miss Diane Lawrence will be retiring at the end of this month, and, we will have a requirement or a need that we, find someone to fill that position, and in the past, the commission has appointed 2 members from the, commission, and I'd like to recommend that Ms. Simon will be also appointed to that selection committee for them to do the interviews and bring a recommendation back to the commission.
I don't, do we need to appoint? What are we saying right now? We need to
We need
make
to
a
appoint
motion to appoint someone?
Two people to that selection committee to bring a recommendation back to the full commission for action. Is that correct, Ms. Simon?
That's correct. And then we will also have to reconvene at a specially called meeting in order to have someone in place before Ms. Lawrence retires.
Is that 2 people
Unless-
besides our administrator?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Northey?
Oh, I make a motion, we appoint Mr. Elmore, and who else? I don't,
Terman's on here,
do what?
on this page here. Or
This is
Terman.
from the last time
From
when
the
Ms. Lawrence
last
was
time,
hired,
that's what y'all
and
would
it's
like
just
to
doing
do.
it for
We have
reference.
one committee out, Mr. Terman and Mr. Northey, who will make a recommendation on Ms. Sowell at the end of 6 months.
Okay,
That's the only one we have out at this time.
okay.
That is to make a recommendation on her, for her
You
job.
understand that?
Job.
Huh?
You understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you
Yeah.
really don't need to be on this.
Huh?
I said, neither be.
Well, if it kicks y'all out, I guess Mr. Elmore and myself will volunteer for this.
That'd be fine. If one of
If you
y'all,
put that in a-
if one of y'all fail, by the way, I guess I could step in the gap.
Do what now?
I
Need to
said,
make a motion.
Okay. I didn't hear your motion. I didn't hear what you
You
said.
got to make the motion, you got the floor.
But you said, you made a comment there and I didn't hear it.
That I would volunteer along with Mr. Elmore to serve on the,
Okay, I'll make that in a motion then, that Mr. Elmore, Mr. Barton do that, and anything, needed. Anybody else?
do I have a second to that motion?
Suck it,
Second.
Mr. Terman, did you second the motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we
I
have.
just didn't want to
They
get my
having
name, I
trouble.
didn't
Y'all
want to
might
make a
not want me
motion to
on the
get me
committee.
back involved in it. That's all I was making sure I stayed out of it. That's why I made the motion. I
We
wanted to stay out
have,
of
we
it.
have a motion that we appoint, Mr. Martin and Mr. Elmore and our county administrator to this selection committee to do the interviews and bring a recommendation back to us. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. The next item is consider the contract for preparation of financial statements. I'm gonna defer to Ms. Sowell on this.
Okay, this is a new requirement from the auditors that I believe of the last year or so that Jenny Allen, a retired member of the Examiner of Public Accounts, has been contracted to do these paperwork preparations. And so in talking with her again this time, she realized how much more time is involved, and so she had a little modification in her contract to increase it by $1,000 for a total of $4,000 for her work on this. And so we just need a contract in place if y'all so agree.
She performed this for us last year, did a good job. We have not had anyone else to solicit for that job, have we?
We have not.
Okay.
so it's basically just an increase of $1,000 over the contract that we've had in the previous.
That's correct.
Mr. Albright, you have anything?
Nope.
Do I have a motion that we enter into this contract with Ms. Allen?
I'll make a motion, we enter this contract, Mr. Allen.
Do I have a second?
I'll say. Go ahead. Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter into this contract with Ms. Allen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. At this time, we will consider establishing of a policy of public notice regarding blanket condition of county roads and bridges. This is a policy that came out from the state association. Darren has been involved to some degree with this. He was at a meeting. So Darren, would you like to expound on that?
Yes, sir. You know, in the past, when we had like a flood or hurricane and the roads are dangerous, we just kinda, I check with y'all and say, we need to close the roads, and I'd say all roads are closed. Well, this is, the ACCA and the attorneys has come up with a new, way of not really saying it's closed, but saying it's, basically impassable travel advisory, and it's worded here, and all the counties are, they want everybody to adopt the same, method of advising people about the dangerous roads conditions, and this is what this states that we would adopt, and anytime in the future we'd have a bad event, then we would go by this policy, and the wording would be exactly what's on here.
This lays out the actual language we will use
Correct.
when we do this, take this action from the county.
But I think this is a good thing, because if you say that road's closed, nobody can travel on it, emergency vehicles or anybody
Right.
else, according to the
And
law
technically,
that I read.
you're supposed to barricade the roads for closed, and there's no way we could do that in this way. It's
Sometimes you need emergency vehicles on that road.
Right,
And if it's closed, and they get on it and have a wreck, they're not covered.
right, well, this,
So
you
this
know, it's
covers-
legal, it's a little better wording on, and then just closing the
I
road.
like this. I like this move.
Do I have a motion that we adopt this policy
Yeah,
upon recommendation of Mr.
I'll make
Capps?
a motion we adopt it.
Second.
I have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. Okay, at this time, we need to consider declaring certain items for surplus and the purchase of other trucks and equipment to replace them. Mr. Capps, would you lead the discussion on that, please?
Okay, if you turn to page, 23 in your pamphlet, we got, construction equipment analysis. We've got some surplus equipment that we can, sell. And I got them listed. I got one grader, one loader, a dozer, and, 3 backhoes. And I have, of course, I went over this in the workshop, but we have the, JM Wood guarantee gross amount for each item. And, of course, they have a 7% commission fee, which, I got to the side there, the net amount. Then also, since the, workshop, I had, equipment company, Tractor and Equipment, offered us, to purchase the loader and the dozer, and the price of that he offered for the loader was $72,000 versus the guarantee of guarantee net of $51,150 from J.M. Woods. And also they offered to purchase the dozer for $45,000. Of course, Woods is a little bit higher on that, but anyway, on the side there, you can see what the, if you use J.M. Wood, the proceeds that they would guarantee and add it up, and it's a total of $193,809 for all equipment. But if you use, some of J.M. Wood and, Tractor and Equipment's offer, you would come out with $214,554. So, I would definitely use the offer from Tractor and Equipment for the loader, because it's a good bit more money.
Yeah, that's almost $20,000 more.
Yeah.
And no 7% involved,
No.
no bank, nothing to do
They
except.
come and pick it up, and that's
Like it is.
We don't even have to clean it up.
And and with JM Wood, we pay 7%.
7%
Then
clean
we
it
would
up.
net
And
basically the same thing as we would with the tractor equipment.
No,
Well,
less.
It's 45,105.
are you talking about on the dozer? Yeah, it's,
Yeah, be
the only thing, we'll have to clean up or pay for to be cleaned up on
Well-
the dozer, and not with JM Wood, we wouldn't have to do anything for tractor equipment.
Right.
Well, you think, I mean, it's hard to say. The dozer might bring a little bit more to
It
auction.
could,
if
that's
we
true,
get in
it's a
contest.
possibility, yeah.
So your recommendation would be to go ahead and sell the loader to them and send the rest out to Wood?
Yeah, that's probably what I'd just,
We're gonna send some anyway, so we might as well send the dozer on the
Will
trip.
the tractor equipment buy the, loader
Straight.
without buying the dozer?
I believe they will.
Well, they had them
I'll
listed
make sure.
separate. They didn't
I think they,
combine.
yeah, they had it broke out, so.
Could we, consider that if they will not buy one without taking both, do you want to give him the leeway to let him
Yeah,
have both?
in case, yeah,
What-
I'd hate to miss the 72,000 for the,
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's just let Darren handle it the best he,
Hey, I just, yeah.
that's what I'd recommend, Chairman.
All right.
If they need to make a motion, I'll make a motion that Darren handle it.
We need a motion to declare these, 6 items as surplus, and that they be sold through JM Wood and tractor equipment. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Is that
I
done?
so move.
I have a motion to that effect. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Get all
All
you can
opposed,
there.
nay. Be none. I just make a comment. You mentioned in the workshop that the town of Red Level wanted
Yeah, they declined,
they declined,
Right,
okay.
right.
I just want, anytime we can
Right.
work with our sister
right.
agency, we like to, so they have declined, so, okay. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. None, motion carried unanimously. At this time, you've got, the dump trucks.
Okay, on page 22, it's a dump truck analysis. We have 4, 2-year, well, soon to be 2-year-old dump trucks. 2 are the Mack trucks, which are automatic transmission, and 2 are Kenworth dump trucks with manual transmissions. And you can see the purchase price, 2 years ago, are listed $131,732 for the Mack and $134,199 for the KW. And JM Wood has, gives a guarantee of, $130,000 for the Mack and $127,500 for the KW. Of course, it's a 7% commission comes out of that. And that's the worst case scenario, and, Bryant Wood said they could go, the Mack could go for potential of $135,000, and then the KW $132,500, which is, that's more than the Mack cost. And the KW is a little bit under, just a little couple thousand. But, if you take the 7%, the guarantee though, the minimal we'll get, and, worst case, the payoff amount, and then add in the sale amount, and we'll gain $53,664. Worst case scenario, $72,264 for the best case, probably. To that, we could apply for new trucks.
And these are for the June sale.
Yeah, this is for the June, yeah. But
Well, they
we
got-
gotta do this in time if we do it,
To
so we
get the
have
new
the
ones
trucks.
coming.
Right.
Cause there's 400 something trucks in the March sale.
Yeah, there's always a bunch, I don't know.
I did talk to, the KW people, as we had mentioned something about the cab space on on those, and, they offer the extended cab or the larger cab version, something like $1,500 more money. So if
Yeah, I
that
didn't see that as an option on the bid, but it may be, I just didn't.
Well, I don't know, that's just what he told me, because I was just asking, and I'd asked some local people about them that had some of them, and they said, yes, about 1,500, and it's well worth it. And it brings it back on the back end, it's kinda like, four-wheel drive pickup, it brings more money. But that was just a comment I wanted to make about that.
Of course, down here we have.
What's the mileage on these trucks?
They should have, by June, all have 70 70-something thousand miles,
That's our trucks.
our trucks, right?
Do you think we'll be better off selling them in June, or do you think we better off holding them till next March? If they dump 400 this March, there may not be that many next, and I usually March is a better sale.
I mean, I don't
I mean,
know.
they still warranted trucks, I'm just trying to figure
Well,
out.
they're not, yeah, they're under powertrain warranty, but full warranty, you know,
Right.
it's only a year. But,
So they're already
Joe,
out
you
of
saying
the
wait?
Sir?
Are you saying wait? I can't
I
understand.
was just asking him if he thought we ought to wait till next March to sell them instead of selling this June. Because the build out on the trucks is dated from January to January, so it's effective January 15, the model year of the trucks are 2016. They build a year ahead.
Do you think you can get as much for them then as you do now?
I'm asking, I don't know.
I don't know, I can't
Just-
predict
I mean,
that.
that's just a
It's-
I
chance.
know right now,
It's
the
a chance you
economy,
take it or not.
chance.
the economy's, you know, decent, and you can pretty much get your money back for the
I've always
bag.
been told, I've always been told a bird in the hand's worth more than five in a bush.
That's right. We probably, if we got a chance to come out of them, I think that'd probably be a good.
I think it'd be,
I
what we're looking at right now, not
I think we
proposing
need to go
anything,
ahead.
Mr. Barton, go ahead and,
Yeah.
what, Mr. Cap's got proposed for us, go ahead and accept those proposals.
Let's go with it.
Well, didn't, Mac also have a different, they would bid a little cheaper because of,
Yeah, well, I got below there, you can see the proposed new trucks off the ACCA bid, and you got the Mack. Well, we've all decided we should stick with automatics, I think.
Right.
The Mack, 2016 Mack with automatics, 138,806, and a Kenworth T800 automatics, 151,673. And what gets me though, it's $6,000 higher to get automatic for the KW than the Mack, but it's the same transmission. Just, they don't discount like the Mack does.
All of these have the vibrator in the dump, is that correct?
All of them have.
Yeah, I mean, just the KW's got heavier rear ends and stuff in it, you know, and it was, they 500 horse trucks too.
Now, there's nothing wrong with either truck.
Yeah, I know it, that,
What does the men that drive them say?
They like both. The bigger drivers, like I said, they complain about the cab being small.
Small cab.
That's probably the only thing negative.
Heavy set men.
Well, let's,
I think we'll see a difference when the KW trucks are sold, that it'll bring the money, but that's just my opinion, and it may not be worth much.
first, to sort of move this along, I think first we need to consider declaring, these 4 dump trucks surplus and to be sold at JM
Wood, all.
Wood auction, is that correct?
That's
They got to be
correct.
declared surplus first. Do I have a motion that we declare these 4 items?
I make a motion, we declare the 4 items surplus, Chairman.
I'll second it.
And sell them through JM Wood auction?
Auction.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Now we need to consider, since he doesn't have the 4 trucks, we better buy him 4 more.
Yeah.
Some way or another. I think that's right.
That's right, that's right.
So you see what the proposal is there. And, this is the bid that we have, and that's a commission bid, right?
Right.
We don't have it, do we have any other sources of other bids on those?
I'm not aware of on the trucks, just the ACCA bid. It's what we've been using for several years.
Availability. What
They
is it?
say that no problem.
With-
If we order them, let them know
With the
today.
Max or the KW?
Either one.
Either one.
Right.
So you can let them know for something today,
I
couldn't
need
you?
to let them know just, yeah.
Today,
Well, you know, last year we got in trouble.
yeah, right.
We waited too late to sell them and to
That's
order
been,
the
that's
new
been the
one.
case several years of me,
Yeah.
same way, you
Well,
know.
we
That's why
got
I'm
the-
doing it so early.
We got the Max quicker than we did the KWs, but
Right.
still,
Yeah,
we run
waited-
behind them.
we
How
waited
many,
A long time on the
how
KW.
many, if we get rid of 2 Max and 2 KWs, then we're gonna have the same mix of Max and KWs if we go next time, unless you buy 4 of the same.
Right,
on the
we'll,
next
we'll
bid.
have still three, well, actually 4 KWs, because
Right.
it's low bore. And then we'd have 4 Max, 4 KWs.
talking about $13,000 difference between the two trucks.
$12,867. $12,867 difference.
Difference between the two different
It
trucks.
just kinda disappointed me that the guarantee wasn't as high, you know, on
Who?
KW.
Because
Whose
of,
guarantee was
because
it?
of the manual transmission.
Well, I mean, I'm just comparing to the cost of a new too, I mean,
Well, I know it'll be late, and they're too late to do anything about it, but I think when we see the results of the March sale,
well, maybe they
it
will.
kinda guide us, but it'll
Yeah.
still be too late, we already gonna be
Right.
committed to a
Right.
purchase.
I need the motion either to purchase 4 Max or 4 Kenworths or a mixture of whatever.
I make a motion, Chairman, we'll,
Yes,
you
Mr.
wanna say something before I make
Yeah,
a motion?
Mr. Turman, go ahead.
How much, considering 10 cents worth, what's the difference in the two trucks?
They both do the job, I mean,
Well,
I mean, the
Mack
cheaper-
truck's cheaper.
it makes sense to me to just go
Isn't it?
cheaper. Yeah,
Is that what I'm seeing here?
That's right.
yes, sir.
Well, you say 4 times $12,800, that's quite a bit of money.
Right.
Yes.
You're about $50,000,
Huh?
you're about $50,000, ain't you?
Yeah.
Mr. Elmore, I
I'll
recognize
make a
you.
motion, we'll purchase those 4 Mack trucks.
I second to that effect.
I second.
Mr. Turman seconded the motion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Being none, motion carried unanimously. At this time, we consider bids for seed and fertilizer, and I believe this is a.
Can we go back to financing on these trucks?
We're gonna pay cash for them.
Okay.
That, I think in a workshop, we discussed it, what we would buy back, that was on
No,
the equipment.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about backhoes yet.
The purchase of equipment.
Okay,
Yeah, you better talk about backhoes, ain't you?
before we get, yeah, we might better talk about backhoes
Got
first.
some wore out back.
That's, yeah. Do we wanna, as Ms. Long, she said, would, how
On
do we
the truck,
want,
on
do
the
we need to
purchase
separate,
truck.
we need to separate these,
The equipment and the truck.
do we need to separate?
I
how we
wouldn't
gonna pay
I
for the
wouldn't
truck
think so.
versus how we
We'll
pay for
find
the
out.
Pam and I
equipment?
have been going over the
Backhoes too.
numbers based on what Darren has provided us, and it looks like it would be better to pay for the equipment and finance the trucks, but that
Oh,
was
yeah.
just our
That's
recommendation.
what I would recommend.
I go along with that.
Okay.
Okay. Do we need to do that after we do the equipment, I mean,
Let's take up the, purchase of the backhoes first.
Okay.
At this time, that's what we'll.
All right, look back on page 23. And, I got proposed new backhoes on the bottom half. And there's a John Deere 14L, and we're gonna get cab, so look at the cab. Price is off the NJPA bid, nationwide bid, $112,575.50. And the cat's off the ACCA bid, it's $107,935. And also that price of the cat has included 3 years of filters in it. And the John Deere does not have 3 years included in it.
And it's got a 2,000 more hours on the powertrain.
Yeah, it's got a 5-year, 6,000 powertrain warranty, and that's included in the bid. And the John Deere has the 5-year, 4,000 hours in the bid. So the cat's just cheaper. And I mean, they're both good, I'm pretty sure they're
And
both,
the
good
cat's a
equipment.
bigger machine, isn't it?
that's comparable, same,
I mean, look, didn't you say something about they gonna get the larger machine?
that's the
with
bigger
tank?
machine for cat.
Right,
you know,
that'll load our truck.
Yeah,
well, the 410's a big John, you know.
yes, it's
Yeah,
big, John
with a
Deere
tall
too.
tire.
They're comparable machines, it's just
Right.
the cat.
All the loaders we have now, what, band?
I'm gonna let y'all.
The
handle
loader,
that.
backhoes are loaded,
The backhoes, I'm sorry.
Komatsu's.
Come on, see what they are.
That they don't make no more.
And we talking about going with John Deere or Cat one?
Cat,
Cat's a lower price. I
I'd
mean,
go
both
with
of them are
Cat.
good machines.
Well, either one of them,
how many are you talking about?
I
One?
think,
You talking about?
Two.
Two.
We gonna have enough, we should have almost enough money to purchase. what
purchase
we
2
sell.
of them.
The equipment we
Outright.
say, the equipment we sell will bring in enough to
cover the
basically
cost.
pay for these two,
Right.
Right.
to,
I'm with,
So you're just gonna order two?
All right, well, we got 5 backhoes, so we're selling 3, that gives us 4, and that's 4 work crews that,
Okay.
we actually have 1 extra
well, I
backhoe.
make a motion that we,
Understand where you're going now.
that we purchase the backhoe with the cab on it, 2 of them.
I second that.
We got a motion and a second that we purchase the Cat 430F with the cab. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. Now, let's go back to financing. There'll be no financing on the, construction equipment, is that correct?
Correct.
And now, the financing on the dump trucks. And I believe we decided to, you could do this same thing with Southern Independent too, if you want to.
I'll just table this here and go on and get it all together next meeting, Chairman, and bring it all back.
I think that's a good
That'd be a
suggestion.
good thing to do.
You make that a motion and we table the financing.
I'll make a motion to table finance to the next meeting.
Mr. Terman?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion second that we table the financing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
That way we get a
Motion
better
carried.
understanding.
That's not gonna hold up anything.
Know
No,
where we're
no,
at,
no.
why we're doing
All
it.
right, we committed to buy them. We got to pay for them one way or the other.
Yeah. But, you know, that will finance thing, yeah. It's not good.
Yeah, we got a bid in, Slice and the bidders was out from Emmons Foil and Op and Albany, filled out, so recommend award it.
We accept these.
Second, Chair.
Have a motion second, say the bid, say the, go up. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Being none, motion carried unanimously. Next item is the preliminary approval of Hobby Lane subdivision. Mr. F.
We have, it's a petition, the guy, owners wanted to make sure that if they do decide to put a subdivision in, that the road to our specs, it's located off Tree Road, it's about a 1,500-foot road. And this is just giving them permission to, us to like inspect it if they decide to, and make sure it meets our specs. We'll have to do some, just another grades for what they have out there now, but anyway, it's kind of just putting on record that it may be a potential subdivision, and we'll be looking after it.
Into the subdivision. That's interest rate, it's being stripped.
Right.
That be on the county road, part of the subdivision after the time.
They have to make sure that they decide to put a subdivision in or a road in, that the county could potentially take it over. So it has to be to our specs, and this is kind of just a way of making sure that.
So the action for us to take the road over would have to come at a later date.
Oh, yeah,
after
that,
the
yeah, it had to
subdivision.
be built before we accept it.
But you keep telling me we got too many roads to maintain.
Well, I mean, that's up to the commission if y'all don't wanna take any road, but right now, we don't take any new dirt roads, period. But in the past, it's, if you pave the road to our specs, then it could, be a county road.
I ain't got no problem doing what you said there.
I think it
If we're
should
gonna
be.
take it over, then get it prepared to what our
Right.
specs, so we got the advantage right there.
Right.
Not to give something that's worn out.
I'd like to see it paved before we take it over.
Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna take I've never taken a road over, a new road that,
In a
was paved
subdivision, something
since
like
I've
that.
been here.
What about this one out here with Hideaway Harbors?
I finna say that's a,
It was done right, but it's just, when you build about 50, 60 houses,
Well,
for
did
chip
we
seal
have,
road, it's just,
have we taken that one over?
yes, sir.
Good God Almighty.
That's a rough, yeah.
That was my question there.
But now our specs.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Can you edit that part?
That's the most interesting thing y'all said yet.
Thank you. Yeah.
Has any of y'all been down that road lately?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
See, our regulations say that you can have a chip seal road just like they did. It's just, normally you don't have that much traffic
We'll just,
before it, right after it's completed, you know.
right, but all the construction.
We need to go to paved road away from.
Well, you could go to plant mix and
Right,
change
plant
it,
mix.
you know.
That may be something we may wanna consider
Right.
when we get
I wish
set.
that
We need
plant mix
a
would
bit stiffer guidelines on this road than they had on that road.
Yeah, well, we need to adopt revise our subdivision regulations, you know.
And maybe that's something we could, work on.
No,
Okay, at this time, do we have a motion to give preliminary approval for Hobby Lane subdivision?
I so move.
Second.
Motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, the motion carries unanimously. Okay, next item has to do with the jail addition. When the specs were drawn up for the new addition, there was nothing in there for the installation of telephones for the inmates. Ms. Sowell, we have a quote from the architect for a change order to add that to the contract, right, if we approve it.
That's the part, he said he could get that to y'all if you approve it.
It's an amount of $727 is the amount for the change order, but in order for him to have the change order, we have to take action. Is that correct, Mr. Albrecht? So do I have a motion that we approve the change order for the installation of inmate telephones to?
I so move.
I'll make a motion, you have change
Do
over.
we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change order for the installation of inmate telephones in the new addition. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously. This next item has become a very difficult situation to resolve. As you know, when the specs were drawn for the contract, this was not part of the contract, the sewer grinding pump addition, correct? Mr. Kennedy, you can sort of spearhead this.
Well, I'm not sure when that,
Was talked about.
right, it wasn't talked about in the very beginning, and once the city found out that we were going to add an addition, they refused to hook it up to their existing sewage unless we did the grinding pump. Part of the grinding pump was in the original bid, the grinding pump and one manhole. Since then, I'm not sure, but between the architect and the city and all that, there's been another manhole involved that said we had to have to collect the sediment. And that's the new project. The general contractor now is still responsible for what he was responsible for in the beginning, which is the manhole with the grinding pump in it. We, or someone, has to put another manhole in there which would retain some of the sediment. How this came up after, how it was an afterthought, I'm not sure how that happened. But it's gotta be done to tie it into the existing sewage system.
In other words, for us to use our new addition, we have to connect to the city's sewer, so we would have to meet their requirements in order to do that. And that's one of their requirements, which is outside of our basic, contract.
We have an estimated cost on
Yeah,
it.
what are we talking about?
I'll talk about it just a minute, if that's okay. There's been a lot of discussion about it, and as brief as I can make this for y'all. The architect has came up with 2 or 3 different scenarios, and for some reason, they've kind of played out. Whether it was insurance, whether it was the way the government bid contracts work because of a public works. Y'all know there's a limit on that. We got the general contractor to get a bid, it was over the limit. So we're kind of scratching our head because this should be a project estimated to cost a whole lot less than the bid requirement. And according to the general contractor, it was a whole lot more. So we backed up, gonna back up and rethink this. And talking with Mr. Godwin, and I believe with Karen, we've also talked to some of the ACCA about the rules and regulations in this. And we think, and I've already attempted to do this, and I've got a lot of luck, I just haven't been able to sit down with them and show them the plans yet. But we think our best case scenario is to get the city involved and let the city help us. Because it's my understanding that if the city will help us do this with their contractors or whomever that they need a contract to help them get this installed, we can pay the city to help us, or the municipality. We can pay the connection fee. There's just gonna be some added cost to that connection fee because of what's required of it. That's the attempt we're trying to make now. I've touched base with the city on 2 occasions and haven't been able to get them together to sit down and talk about this yet, but that's our next step. I tried to have it for this meeting. They weren't able to meet with me, but they have been very willing to talk about it and discuss it. So I think with them involved, that's gonna be our best route. It's gonna be the best way to get this done. It's gonna be the best way to get it expedited and get it done in a timely fashion.
I talked with, Ms. Sowell, we talked with Ms. Pons, a legal person at the association. And she said, yes, we can contract with a governmental agency without bidding it. And our attorney is agreeing with us.
And you and I've talked about that.
Right, and we talked about it. So.
And this is definitely out of my realm of.
The idea is that we request connection to the city, and then they give us the requirements of what's gotta be done, and they will perform the work and charge us accordingly. Is that right, Mr. Albrecht?
Well, I mean, that's the way it could work, you know, whether they're willing to do that or not. I think
If they're willing to do it.
And that's where we're at, and they seem to be verbally willing to do that, willing to help us. I'll just say that. I've talked to Tim Glisson, and he's willing to sit down with me. That's where we're at on that.
Chairman, can I make a recommendation? We let Mr. Kennedy handle it and Ms. Sowell and, meet with the city of Ann Louis and talk about it and go ahead and do what they need to do, cause they're gonna work in our best interest.
Come back with us if we call.
Question to Mr. Albrecht.
Okay.
Since this will not be a contract per se, but a service that we ask for a connection, we ask to be connected, and they gonna tell us what we've got to do. And I'm asking, do we have to execute a contract or agreement with the city?
I would recommend it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would.
Okay, that's what.
And we've already,
Know what our cost is gonna be.
if my memory's correct, we've already signed an agreement with the city that they
That's
sent
right.
us because agreed to do this construction before they would allow us to tie into their system. I mean, we're already kind of under a contract, and if this falls in those guidelines, then we've pretty much already done that.
Right.
Okay, so
We just
don't
need to have some numbers.
Mr. Albrecht,
You
Yeah,
don't
and
have to
this-
take any action today on it, and in fact, there's nothing to take action on today, because you don't know what's gonna happen.
No, and I will bring it to y'all as soon as possible. If we can get, if we have a special meeting
We'll pass
sometime and
on.
I've got everything prepared, I'll do that. Otherwise, it may be the next regular business meeting, but just as soon as I can get this, and I hope it's in the next few days. I really do. I wish it had been today. You can't get everybody in order, but that's what we're saying on that.
Thank you for doing that.
It's looking good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Karen.
next is to consider a resolution to, request our state representative to introduce legislation for following items. One, A is to increase wages for the Board of Equalization from $10 a day to match the wages paid to poll workers. And Ms. Sowell, that's $75, is that correct?
That is for a clerk's pay, for poll workers. They also get an additional fee for attending a school, but their base pay is $75.
These members do not have to go to school. What you look for is qualifications, people who are familiar with, real estate and, what to do. And I can just say from having served on that board for about 7 years, not that people serve for the money, but I just think we need to reimburse them for their expenses to come up here and spend that day and, for the meals and everything. And so that's, I would recommend that we do this, and at the maximum, it's probably 3 days at the maximum that these 3 members would be called in to do this. So we are not looking at a tremendous
Yeah,
amount.
2 members, right?
3 members.
3 members.
One is appointed by the commission, is that right, Ms. Ms. Al, one by the school board and one by somebody else.
To be honest, I haven't looked at it in a little,
Revenue,
okay.
Revenue Commissioner, school board, county school board, and commission it has an appointment to that board. That's one of them. The other one is to increase lodging tax from 4% to 7%, and you see a lot of information on that. I clipped the article out of the Montgomery Advertiser relating to this in Montgomery County and all. And as you know, this would be one of the least negative effects on our local people that we have, because lodging tax is paid basically by people traveling through the area or staying in the area. And that.
What would be projected increase on this from 4% to 7%? How much money we talking about?
I believe the lodging tax now is approximately $150,000. Is that?
I believe that was when we met with Yolanda.
Yeah, about 150,000. So we're looking at 125,000 additional.
But we also need to, while we're discussing this, need to let the people know that this is nothing we're gonna vote on today. This is something we're talking about, getting the resolution correct.
We're voting on to ask insulation,
Legislation.
introduction of legislation.
Right.
Then
We can come back and discuss what we're gonna add, but Shannon,
Representative Jones will take all the inquiries, and he will make the decision whether or not to introduce it.
right, the legislator.
Is that
But
correct?
we're not making an appointment this morning to, because that's not in effect. I just want the public to know that from 4 to 7 cents, not anything that's gonna happen today. It may be several months before that'll happen. It may not ever happen.
It won't happen until the legislature.
Legislature introduce it and it passes.
This is just part of the formality
We got to go through.
to go through if this was to come.
Uh,
All these issues there.
The other one is to increase the probate indexing fees from $2.50. This is $5. I would like to recommend that we go to $7.50. We've looked at some other ones, and I think Ms. Al, one county was at $20, a couple was at $8. Some of them are by the page, and when you get the second page, you're up to $8. So.
Page 29 has got some of those that are surrounding us, or some of the counties of equal size.
Mr. Chairman, can I address that issue?
Yes.
As we talked about in the workshop, right now, that fee that you're proposing to increase is $2.50 per instrument that's recorded at the probate office. And it goes into a fund that is a discretionary fund for the probate judge, which is, if you remember earlier in the proceedings when we talked about that server that we're gonna buy, that's where those funds come from. It takes a while to collect it up at $2.50, but you know, we have tried to be frugal with it and make sure that we have money available for things like this server. My point in addressing you about it is that, you know, this doesn't affect that discretionary fund at all. This is not, you know, I'm not asking for the increase. And the way you've got it postured, none of that money will come to the probate judge discretionary fund. It'll go to the county general fund. And, you know, I don't really have an opinion about that. As a licensed commissioner, I just collect taxes and fees for the different government agencies, the county being one of them. And you can, with the help of the legislature, tax any activity at the courthouse that you want to tax, including this one. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not requesting it for the discretionary fund. It really doesn't have anything to do with the probate judge's discretionary fund. The only impact I see it having on me is that my discretionary fund is $2.50, as I said, and it's been that way since 1987. And if I needed to increase the discretionary fund revenue at some point, you know, it's already more than 20 years since we've done that. If I needed to, you're already adding something to it, might make that, you know, difficult in the future. You say 3 or 4 years from now, I looked at it and thought, boy, I really need to modernize something in the recording department, and the county's strapped, and I began to think about increasing the revenue into the discretionary fund. You know, I think folks would say, wow, we just put $5 on that, Judge, why are you wanting to increase it again? So it could affect my ability to ask for that fund to be increased in the future. So that's all I wanted to say. Any questions?
I don't have any, I'll just make a comment. It's great that we have that discretionary fund and it's earmarked for updating our technology. But we not only have the probate office, but we also have our other departments. And I would like to recommend that we place this money in a fund that strictly this additional money strictly used to update, because we know, and Ms. Sowell has talked to me about it, and Mr. Petty talked to me about it, that we're going to have to buy a new program for the office up here. And what that's gonna cost. But what this would do would let us buy, like, there are 2 instances with the backup capacity, the thing, when the FBI comes down requiring us to do something, then we don't budget for that, but we would have this fund in order to do that. And that's sort of some of the idea behind this on that.
Could I think, I mean, yeah, we're going up $2.50, but we still at or below everybody else. So that would give us some room, you know, if you needed something later in life, you know, on down the road, we would have some room left if we had to still be with our other surrounding counties. I think, you know, we are there, you know, and that would leave you some room.
Any other questions or comments on this? If not, we go to about adding.
Hang on, I'm a little bit confused. What is your what is your resolution regarding the probate fees? Is it $5 or is it?
On the agenda, it's $5.
Is-
I'm recommending that we go to $7.50, but Mr. Northey has made a point to keep it at $5.
Okay. So the resolution is to approve it to
What's
$5.
still there?
Got it.
Is that,
Yeah.
that seems to be the consensus.
Okay. All right.
I'm not in favor of putting any figure on it right now, Chairman. I'm just in favor of getting it passed a resolution with Montgomery.
put a figure.
You gotta
You
put a
gotta-
figure on it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna
we
have to
gotta
let them know
figure it out.
something.
So that Mr. Jones will know what to put in the legislation. And this same thing applies that the people can talk to the representative, and it's, you know, it's whatever he, am I not right, Mr. Alderman, that he will ask the legislation to be written, and he may not want to do that. And if he doesn't want to do it, then it doesn't get done.
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing,
This
it's
is
gonna
just
happen.
sort of a formality to get everything in a way where at
So
some
we
point.
can
in
make
time-
some improvements and some changes.
Right. This next item, add a jail booking fee. This was a suggestion by, Mr. Martin. And I really don't know that much about it, and the sheriff is here. And Mr. Martin, do you want to elaborate on this?
I've talked to the sheriff about this in the past, and he told me it'd take, you know, legislative action to do it, but we average, and Sheriff, you butt in if you need to, or help me with it, but we have about 10 people booked in and out on an average per day. Is that correct? And right now, we're absorbing the cost. The taxpayers are paying for these people to come in and basically a processing fee to go through and get booked in, and if they're an overnight guest, then, you know, they get issued their little suit and their flip-flops and the mattress and all that's furnished by the taxpayers. And I'm for the guy that does the crime to be paying the penalty. And I don't think the burden should be on the taxpayers to do that. And, so I suggested a $30 fee, and maybe we could earmark part of that, maybe just say half of it, to go to the jail for maintenance and, operation of the jail for, you know, whatever they need over there for training, because, you know, we having to put in a camera system now, and there's always additional costs gonna be involved in the jail, and so if, Joe Barton gets locked up, and, Mr. Terman saw fit to come get me out, he'd have to pay that $30 along with it to get me out of jail, and, that
My
way.
understanding is we don't have no booking fee now.
No, sir.
No.
And that was just suggesting to generate money that, for the county, and not the taxpayers have to do, because I believe, Sheriff, you said it was like 1/2% of the population is what we're dealing with, and the criminal aspect of the county. And so that small, number of people is costing all the rest of us some money. And that's not the American way.
You have anything to say, Sheriff?
The only thing that I speak to at this time would be, when, if Representative Jones decides to, write the bill, that I certainly would like to be involved in, see, how the money is gonna be collected and how they're gonna be dispersed and how that's worded in that bill. I think all of that is open to suggestion, you know, we're trying to get it in position to be considered, is what we're trying to do. And I did have a conversation with Representative Jones. He had a little question about it. He recollected that some other, jail had considered this, and there might be some problem with it, but he said, if we pass this, then whatever the law allows us to do, that's the way the legislation would be written. And this is just more, all of these is just a formality to get things in the process.
If we don't,
Everything will be approved.
if we don't get it in now, it'll be another year before we can.
So that's the 4 items. Do you want to consider these separately, or do you just want to make one resolution to introduce these 4 items, request introduction of this legislation?
I think we could do it. Can we do it all four at
You
once?
just do it all.
Let him
Do
do
it
all.
all at one
You
time.
can do it all.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we introduce all four of these resolutions into the legislation.
I'll second that.
You got a motion and a second to request state representatives to introduce legislation affecting these changes. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Uh,
All opposed, nay. There being none, the motion carried unanimously. With that, a letter will be written to, Mr. Jones, and all 5 commissioners will need to sign that letter. And we will put a copy of this, action along with it. That suitable?
Yes, sir.
Next item is authorized agreement for online tag renewal. We're presently doing that, but we've got I'm gonna let Ms. Sowell sort of walk us through this.
And Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but the current agreement that we've got, regarding the payment of credit card fees, doesn't allow us to process that through 2 vendors, is that right? Correct. Okay, so what the, issue is we need to cancel the present agreement that we've got with the company we've got it with, and enter into the proposed agreement with the new company, so that we can support those 2 vendors. And I know that Karen's talked with our, company we're currently under contract with. They understand what we're doing, they understand why we're doing it, they've got no problem with that, and they've said that there would be no penalty for the cancellation. And so what you need to do is to, authorize Karen to enter into the, amendment to the agreement, which is in your packet, so that we can process these payments, both of them through the probate judge's office. Now, one thing that needs to be changed in that agreement is in the very last, what page is this, 30, the very last sentence. Where it says, in this amendment, Judge Bowden will continue to pay these expenses from this account out of his office as he has in the past. He has not been paying that, out of his office. So this will be a new thing, but he is agreeing to do that out of his office. So the contract would be revised to specify that he will pay these expenses from this account out of his office, and just period, and delete the rest of that.
And this is strictly for online tagging.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Yes.
This allows me to, for a short term, continue to offer tag renewals online with no credit card transaction fee. I'll pay that out of my discretionary fund because it's so important to me that people are motivated to use the online service. And I don't want to create a disincentive to not use the online service. And so we've been through this several times, and you all know how I feel about it. So I'm trying to, this contract allows me to pay the credit card fees for online, so the customer doesn't have to, at least for the short term, until, looks like it's something I can't handle anymore.
Am I not correct that the contract with Alabama, one that's been using for online, expires in July, right?
The online contract with Alabama will expire in July, that's correct.
And so we're canceling that contract. We entered an agreement to opt out of that contract. And then this new company will pick up the online, procedure, but you will pay
Pay those fees.
the credit card fee out of your discretionary fund
Correct, for the short term,
for the short term.
because I'm trying to do everything I can to incentivize people to use online for the obvious reasons that it doesn't require personnel, it doesn't require them to come to the office. It's an automated procedure that is a much better process for us and the customer.
So if I understand, we need a motion to cancel the contract with Alabama. And also permit you to pay that fee from your discretionary fund with our contract with our other.
Cancel Elevon, give Karen the authority to enter into the proposed agreement with Guardian,
Okay.
okay? On the terms as stated in that agreement, which includes him paying the transaction fees out of his fund, out of his account, yeah.
Is everybody clear? Everybody clear as to what we're voting on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well,
As
We need to make a
Mr.
motion.
Albritton stated the motion.
that's what the judge wants to do, it's fine with me.
All in favor?
You may got a
Is that a
motion.
motion?
Yeah,
I'll second
that's a
that.
motion.
We got a motion to say, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, nay. There being none, motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. This time we'll hear comments from the board, from individual commissioners, and so open the floor.
I don't have.
You know, we talked earlier, we had I went to a meeting in Ozark, and, we got some stuff that's coming up, you know, from the state levels. It's gonna affect the counties, and so, some of it's gonna be do with inmates, some of it's gonna be other stuff. And it's gonna fall down on us. The state is wanting to, they had a $33 million shortfall. And they went back 3 years ago to show up theirs with the educational thing. Well, that's gone. And they're back where they was 3 years ago. So they're gonna start cutting some stuff and expect the services, you know, just like through the jail or whatever, that they're gonna have some drop-off people that's gonna come into the jail at our expense. So we're gonna see a lot of things that's gonna fall our way. Now, this is all not in concrete yet, but there's some things, and there's some proposals on taxes, gas taxes, that we'd get 40% of, if we get it, you know, if it goes through. But there's just a lot of things that's coming towards us that's, it's not good. Nothing looks good right now, no money nowhere. No county. Had one of the commissioners tell me, he said, I never thought I when I got elected, that I'd seen so much broke stuff in the state of Alabama. So it's not us, it's everybody, you know. There's just a shortfall of money. So, kind of, what do you have, you got anything to add to that?
You know, if we got to provide those services that are mandated by the state law to do that, that's an unfunded mandate, so then we have to take it out of the revenues that we generate locally. And, you know, those kind of things have been, we as a commission board will have to begin to make priorities if, what are we going to do to sustain the same level of services we have now with the revenue, if it stays the same, and we got to do these other things, that means there's some services that may not have as high a priority. I mean, it's gonna be some tough decisions on us as individually and as a board of commission. And the other alternative is to raise, revenue from other sources, whatever that may be, whether it be fees, taxes, or whatever. That's your alternative. You know, as you know, this year we caught in a very severe situation with our budget, in that when Lieutenant DRS pulled out of the airport, the previous new administration, none of us had anything to do with it, they agreed to guarantee that bond payment. So right now, we're paying $22,500 a month on that bond payment. So for this year, from January 1 to September the 30th, that's like $202,000. If we don't get someone in there next year, that's gonna go up to $270,000. And then you have a tenant in two other buildings out there that we are guaranteeing the bond payment on. They've been using the rent to pay those bond payments. If they don't get rent, we're gonna be incurring that, and that's probably gonna take precedent over everything else.
One more thing, they have this thing, it's called Coffee at the Courthouse, and they're gonna have a hearing, have a group come from Alabama, you know, I reckon some state people and some federal people, and they're gonna discuss Fort Rooker, the impact of Fort Rooker. What will it, if they shut Fort Rooker down, what's it gonna affect the surrounding counties? And we depend on Fort Rooker. You know, we have a refueling for helicopters, and that is our, you know, that's the lifeblood of our airport over there. And so, I'm planning on trying to go to that hearing and see what comes of it, but there's things like that that's paying, you know, that's other things that's gonna be presented, and, so there's cuts everywhere, and it's gonna be bad. And, you know, if that was to happen, so we got to have voices that, and they're really, you know, over that, you know, Dale County, Houston, all, Coffee, they're really, you know, wanting people to have input, cause they're asking them what would it do to their business. So it's gonna affect our business as well in the county right here, not counting people who work and live, you know, work back over there.
Mr. Norrie, this has to do with the base realignment commission, is that,
I think that would be what it is, but it's some cuts that would, they want to get with the ACCA to talk with them and have input.
The Defense Department is looking ways to cut their expenses, and one way is to close bases.
That's more on the federal level, I reckon you'd say, instead of the state level.
It affects us when they do that.
Yeah.
From tax revenue, that kind of stuff. Any other comment, Mr. Turner, you got anything?
It sounds like to me we got some hard times ahead of us.
Mr. Elmore?
No comment.
Mr. Barton?
I'm done.
This time we'll hear from my staff. Mr. Albritton, do you have anything?
No, sir. I don't.
Ms. Sowell?
No, sir.
Darren, anything else?
No, sir.
Ms. Harris, you have anything?
I just wanted to announce that next week is our Severe Weather Awareness Week, because March, April, and May is our tornado season. So, just warning you, and hopefully you'll get prepared for this severe weather. We've done a lot of things through our media and our schools, trying to get the word out for everybody to get prepared. Also, at the end of that week, that weekend, is our sales tax holiday for emergency supplies. So really encouraging the people, if they go through their plans and their kits and there's items that they need to make sure that they use that weekend to buy their supplies. Also, next month, we will continue our training in our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center. We'll do training where we're gonna activate the entire EOC. And I really encourage each one of you commissioners to come by and look at what's going on. The EOC will be activated in major emergencies, and you need to know where to go to get the information you need, and you also need to see how it's run. So during major incidents, that we're all on the same page.
When will this meeting be?
We haven't set the date yet, but I'll email you.
Okay.
It's gonna be next month. Also, we have another exercise that we're gonna do with the health department. It's a pod, a point of distribution. This is also something that you need to be involved in. It's when we have any major incidents that we have to get medical supplies out to the entire county. This is a pod that we'll set up, and you need to know how this is gonna run and how we set this up so that you can get the information out to the people in the county. So that will be later on also, so I'm just giving you a heads up. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kenny, do you have anything else?
A couple of quick comments. I know everybody's ready to go. First of all, I'd like to thank Mike Brown again for coming up here and just kind of letting y'all know how important Red Cross is to our community. And when Don Johnson was here, he did a lot of work on his own. He had a lot of recruits that helped him. And since he's gone, there's been a little bad blood in the community. They fired Don, they got rid of Don. Well, listen, they did what they had to do. They did what they should have done probably a long time ago. And Mike has stepped up and been over here from Mobile numerous times, and I've helped him and he's helped me, and we've worked together. And like he said, we've worked as many fires now in a few months as they did in a whole year. And there's a lot of reason behind that. One of them is when I come in every morning, I check the messages on our voicemail back there. How that was happening before, I don't know. But I've worked a lot of fires, helped a lot of families. I calculated it, and it's somewhere around $12,000 I've given to families in this community. And I'd like to reiterate what he said. Where we're at now is we need volunteers. I've seen commercials on television that have mentioned the Red Cross is in need of volunteers. Can you volunteers or even, your contributions? And I want y'all to know that I've learned more about it in the last 4 months than I knew for 12 years I've been a volunteer with them. And I volunteered in shelters years ago, setting up shelters, helping repair to shelters, setting up cots, food, whatever I could do. But in the last 4 months, I've learned a lot about families that need help when they lose everything. Probably 70% of the families I've worked haven't had insurance. It's a very important role. It really is, and I can't stress that enough. And I thank you again, Mike, for everything you've done to help me. And his crew in Mobile have been instrumental. I can call those guys at any time with any question. They're willing to help. They'll talk to the clients for me, whatever we got to do to help these families. It's an instrumental thing. It really is in our community. And one other thing, me and Miss Petty and Miss Moody started something years ago, and I'd like to tip my hat and say a special thanks to Mr. Albritton and Miss Sowell for getting this thing together in the past month. All this is a community service contract and liability waiver. And what this is saying that I can work people that are sentenced to community service. So right now I've got one. I've done it before for Judge McGuire years ago, and the state had a waiver. And I brought it up here to Miss Petty, and she said it was fine. We signed it, and they worked for me. It's just a liability waiver. Mr. Albritton's worked on it. He changed some of the terminology. We've discussed it. Him and Pam emailed each other back and forth and got the drug court to read it to make, their recommendations. And Mr. Albritton made his recommendations, and we've prepared it, finalized it. And it would just allow, one of the biggest things, the DA's office has some drug court participants that are sentenced to community service for some reason. Me and Miss Erica, when she was here over a year ago, discussed this and brought it forward. But I got a copy if y'all want to see it, but it's simply a waiver. And I think it's an administrative thing. I just wanted y'all to be aware that's what we were doing. And I'm willing to work these people in a community service aspect. I can have them do different things at the courthouse, at any of our county buildings. It could be painting, cleaning, it could be mowing the grass. Whatever they can do, they'll sign this waiver of liability of the county. And it just makes us not liable for, them if they should hurt themselves or something like that. Just wanted to bring it to y'all's attention.
Do we need to take action, or can we do administrative?
Just do administrative.
Well, there's really no action for you to take because it's not a contract that you're entering into. It's a form that the participant will sign releasing you, so there's really no action on your part.
Just wanted to make you aware of it. I think it was administrative, but I wanted to.
The addition that was made to it and the waiver was already fine. What it didn't include though was the county as one of the parties released. So that's what I added to it, was that the county and its officers and agents would be released, too.
That's all I've got.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you,
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Capps, are you doing the work for the renewal of our landfill?
Well, you, basically, I gotta get proposals, and I'm in the process of getting
May
proposals.
explain that to them so they know what you're talking about.
Yeah, a solid waste management plan has to be redone every 10 years. I mentioned this at the workshop. In the last 10 years ago, well, it expires at the end of this year. And, the last time it was done, it was, Goodman, Mills, and Kaywood that did it, which is Bob Carter. And, it's just a plan that it's the whole county, even the little towns, have to be included in it. That just basically says, what do you do with your garbage, what do you recycle, the whole aspects of garbage pickup. And it's just, with figures, how many people in this town. And, the law says that, you know, it has to be done for the whole county, including the towns, but that the county can bill the town by their population of the town. Like the bill was $8,000, you can split it out to the towns to pay for the engineering, so.
Paid by the population.
So I was gonna get proposals from, there's about 5 engineer firms in Andalusia, you know, and just present it once I get them to act on it.
So hopefully maybe next month.
Yeah, maybe the next meeting we'll have it.
All right. Mr. Dawson, do you have anything from technology? I think I've covered about everybody.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Elton, you got beat to the punch.
Sure did.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Oh, me.
This is long as I've been up.
Hey, guys.
This is long as I've been up.
Say about